Hello everybody. This is Dr. Shaniva Early, your craft doctor, with another video on because I bought it, our little series. And I'm working right now with the book called The Treasury, and it's an Anna Griffin die set, and it was a monthly auto ship from HSN, and it had all of these dies, right? And every month you got a new one, and it was labeled and everything. And I have not used but a couple of them out of here. But if you ever notice and see any HSN stuff, they do use the Treasury designs on their stuff. And I'm like, I want to know what they're using and how they're using it, because Anna Griffin stuff, it's really nice. She stacks too much stuff on it, but the design itself is really nice. And so I pulled out this one here with the teapot, and she colors hers gold. And so that is what is on this thing here on my stamp platform. I'm using it to do it on this star, but it's just scrap that I cut out because I was making some Reef Builder templates from my Cricut machine, and it's the inner portion, so I'm just kind of using it as scrap. And so what I want to do is I want to see if I can make this gold look like hers. So I went and I bought, this is the color box Anna Griffin Treasuries colors, and there's embossing powder to go with it. And I mean, not embossing powder, but the embossing ink that you can use with embossing powder. And they had embossing powders to go with this. But what you don't know is, well, some people don't know, when you're doing embossing, you can emboss with any color, right? As long as the ink stay wet enough. And so this right here is a pigment ink, which stays wet longer. And so you just ink up your stamp with the pigment ink, right? Just like that. And you know, stamp it out, stamp it out, stamp it out, stamp it out. And I'm trying to get a little pressure on here. I don't want to get too much because I want it to spread. But then this ink stays wet long enough for you to put embossing powder on the top of it. I don't have any clear embossing powder, I don't think. Let me look right quick. I think my clear embossing powder is upstairs. Upstairs in my other craft room is my clear embossing powder. But you can use, no, that's glitter. Oh, but since it's up here, let me take that out. I have some embossing powder, and it's upstairs. But once you put your embossing powder, matter of fact, let me pause you. I'll be right back. So this is my container with my embossing powder in it. Right? And so if you can see that, the embossing powder has stuck to the ink. And now we can heat seal this. And so and it has a die where you can cut the die out. And when you cut the die out, then it becomes a topper or aperture or die cutter or whatever, just like clean the stamp off. See, it's hot. And see, now you can you can see that now I can fill it on the top because of the embossing powder, and then I can cut this out and it looks just like the ones that she does, right? And so now it's white and it's the same color of ink as opposed to using embossing ink, which is what I was trying to go for. I was trying to make it look just like when she does it and embosses with it. My embossing powder is thicker, so it didn't do as good a job as it could have done, but that's just the embossing powder. If I get some fine embossing powder, which I'm sure I probably have somewhere around here because I think this is a triple thick that I use, then I can find a way, or I will be able to make it just like hers design, because it has a die that comes with it. So this is the sheet here with all these gorgeous designs on them, her Victorian style or whatever. And then on that same sheet here is the dies, and then there's the inner die and the outer die. So if I wanted to cut that out, I could cut it out with like that and cut it right up to the edge, and then take the other die and make a mat to it, just like that. And so it works. And this die, it is, I can feel the ridges from the embossing powder. And so it's another way to save you money without buying a bunch of different colors of embossing powders. Now I do have several colors of embossing powders because I didn't learn the trick until after I had already purchased embossing powders that you can just use colors. Someone from Stampin' Up! Taught me that trick where you can use your regular ink. And so what you do is you take your ink and put it, stamp whatever you're stamping, and then you take your Versamark, and then after you take your Versamark, you go over that thing. So you do use a stamping pad usually when you're doing this process, and then after you go into your Versamark, you go right on top of that, which makes it wetter. So then now that gives you the opportunity to use any color as a embossing. You can use any color to do embossing with. And let me give you a perfect example. Even though this pigment ink is pigment ink is on my desk, and it's let's see, I have this set from Stampers Crafter's Companion right here with all of these gorgeous, perfect one right here. Okay, we're about to test my theory on this right now. So we're going to use the lady. She is called Mother Nature. That's the name of this one. Yeah, Mother Nature. Okay, so we're going to use this, and I'm going to show you and put this baby to the test of it all. Okay, here go a little scrap card stock. And here's Mother Nature. We're going to put her right there, right? And grab her. And there she is. So I'm going to use one of my Stampin' Up! Inks, and I'll just grab the lovely lipstick, right? Because it's flowers all over. And this is a perfect example to show you what I'm talking about. All right? So I'm going to stamp her. Okay. Stamp her. It was the best thing that they could have done to come out with these stamp positioners. Because if you're like me, there's always a space that you don't do. That, and I'm impatient and I don't hold it long enough like you're supposed to do with the blocks. There's my dogs. They're barking because I think my daughter just came back from voting. Right? So there we go. So this is Mother Nature in this cute lovely lipstick, right? And so I'm about to clean the stamp off right quick. And you clean it off. Get all the ink that was on it. Clean it really good to get all the ink off. Alright. So that's what I'm doing. I'm getting all the ink off. So I've used the lovely lipstick. And that's the underneath color for it all. Alright. So I'm drying her off to get her really dry. And she's dry. And then I'm using this Versamark water, the one you use for embossing powder. And I'm stamping right over the lovely lipstick. Right? So you already can tell that was just plain old regular Stampin' Up! Ink. It's nothing fancy about it. It's just regular Stampin' Up! Ink. Right? And so there we go. We got embossing powder. And let me do it again. And you're not gonna mess up your embossing ink because you used other inks on top of it. It's not like that. You're not gonna mess them up, your other inks up at all, because you're not getting contact with them at all. Okay, so there's Mother Nature with the embossing ink. So I'm gonna grab my embossing powder right here. And I'm going to take my embossing powder and put it right over there. And it's going to stick because I just used the embossing ink. So it's going to stick on there. And so we're going to feed it on there. And you can already tell it's sticking because you can see it sticking to the embossing ink. Right? And so see, you can see it sticking right there. And then I'm gonna take my heat gun, still warm, and watch the change. See? So what I just created was an embossed image, just like we're used to with embossing powders. But I used the inks I already have. I used the embossing ink thing, and ink pad, and I didn't have to use any other colors. And so you can see the change happening. Don't do too much because if you burn it, then you've gone too far. Don't go too far or you will burn it. And so see, now this is an embossed surface, nice and embossed, and I can go in there with my color pencils or my ink blending pens or my whichever pens that I choose to use. I can go in there and do that because now this is embossed. My dog he needs attention. That's Cousin. So thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.